Hey everybody, Kurtenbach and Logan Murdock. We're here in Houston. We're on the Toyota Center Court.
We are.
They're going to play a little bit later today. Game 1 is a pivotal game in this series, obviously. Every game 1's pivotal, but particularly for the Warriors in this series because, well, we're not in Oakland. And this is the first time in the Steve Kerr era that we've had a game 1 that's not in Oakland.
Yes.
I don't know. I feel like this is something they actually want. Like, this is something that they've been looking forward to, that this gets them locked in a little bit more. Are you getting the same read as me?
Definitely. I think if you notice, like, Steve is a lot more shorter with his answers. And when we talk to him in shoot around, we talk to him in practice and things like that. You know, he's really engaging. While he was engaging the last 2 practices, it was a really short answer. He looked like he was very serious about what the task at hand. And you see Draymond in the same way. So, in a way, I haven't seen, and Steve said he hasn't seen him locked in this much this season. And
he said since 2015.
It's since 2015. And I mean, I would agree with him. Like, these guys are locked in. You see them. They're not talking more than they have to. They want to get this game.
Well, it's crazy. I mean, we think back on the regular season and how much we all talked about on the day-to-day, them not caring.
Yeah.
But like then it's like, well, they're still winning, so it's like, how much can they not care? It's very clear now that they did not care in the regular season at all, and they kind of didn't care in the last 2 rounds either.
I think the biggest thing though we've seen though is when they're caring is a way better chip than when someone else is caring. If they're on it, because let's be honest, these 2 teams want each other, but I feel like a Houston and a Golden State wanting, Golden State's going to get that edge because when they're locked in, we've seen it. When against New Orleans is a big example of that. Last 2 games, when they won a series, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, you see it and it's like, oh, that's a whole other thing that's going on here. And that's the thing that I just haven't seen from the Rockets this postseason. Now, this might all look really stupid in about, I don't know, 10, 12 hours, but man, like just going back and watching some of these Rockets games, and I'm on the record saying I think Warriors win in 5, and I know that's aggressive, and even I'm like, that might be pushing it a little bit because James Harden and Chris Paul are so good, and this team is so deep, and we were just talking about that. Like, it's crazy deep, but like they have one kind of smoke. They run high pick and roll / ISO, and like that's the stuff that doesn't work against the Warriors when they're playing good defense, when they're switching everything seamlessly, and when they're really moving the ball offensively. Like, it just feels like so much of what the Rockets want to do plays right into the Warriors' hands. That said, until you see it, you don't really know.
I think that, I mean, we've talked about this off camera. I think the biggest barometer of whether it's going to go 5 or it's going to go 7 is tonight. If the Warriors go out and they just mash on them tonight, I think it could be a short series.
Yeah, as I wrote in my column, it's not only we got both teams that think if they execute their game plan, they're going to win. Okay, so not only do you have a huge series that everyone's been looking forward to all year, and something's got to give in terms of one style versus the other, and one talent, group of talent versus the other, but now you also have a psychological thing.
Yes.
Because if the Warriors go in, and like the Warriors right now are like, no one can beat us when we're playing at our best. Well, if the Rockets come out and beat them tonight, and the Warriors feel like we played pretty well, that's a big problem for them because that's the Achilles heel. They're cutting it.
Yeah.
If the Rockets come in, I mean, they are coming in thinking like, well, if we play our best game, like, we're better than the Warriors, and then the Warriors spank them. Yeah. Like, are they going to even show up for game 2? Like, you don't come back from something like that. So you're right. It's 100% in game 1.
And I think we're going to really see. We're going to really see what James Harden is made of in this series.
Sure.
We're going to see if he can take that next level because it's going to take the effort that we've been wanting to see out of him that we haven't, as opposed to like last year in San Antonio and past years. You talk about the finals in 2012. For sure. And we're going to really see, what kind of player he is in this one. And what's weird is, you talk about the Rockets been wanting this. Not only have they been, obviously wanting all human nature, they've been saying
They have been talking.
They have been saying that they want this game. And the Warriors are sitting back like, okay, this is what it is. So this is going to be interesting.
I was here yesterday, and they're like, we're better than the Warriors. I'm like, what? Did you just watch those last 2 games of the last round? Is the Death Star got its laser beam? Like, what are you... Like, maybe back off a little bit, but like, I appreciate it because it made this way more fun. It was already fun. Ultimately, going off of your point on James Harden, I do think that something we haven't talked about, because we talk about Chris Paul, we talk about James Harden, perennial playoff underperformers or underachievers. Mike D'Antoni kind of has that same stink on him.
Yes.
And the big thing, going back to the point I made earlier, like, I need to see a little bit more from this Rockets offense. Like, it's great. It's a great offense.
That's crazy to say that, isn't it?
It's a great offense, but it's a great offense because they have 2 of the greatest ISO players that ever lived. and like they can get away with it, and they run a system, and they have the spacing that they can just run the same play over and over and over again. Like the Warriors are going to take away that play. Like they're good enough to take away that play. So what do they have? What does Mike D'Antoni have? What, you know,
What's
clearly he has a deeper playbook than what he's shown. Is he going to bust that out in the biggest series of the year, the series that we've been waiting for, 90 games? Like, and that's our cue. So, I mean, we'll find out. Game 1 tonight, Toyota Center. Presumably they'll turn the lights back on. Logan Murdock, Dieter Kurtenbach. See you guys later.
Yes, sir.